That is not on the agenda. This is for open discussion, and you're limited to how many minutes you can speak. And I think Mr. Seidler wants to start.
If that's okay.
Check to make sure the mic's on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, honorable council members. So as a little formality, I am approaching you today to talk to you about Bass Farms. They have an ice cream cart that they want to put at the pool for a few days. And in order to get a temporary food license, it needs to go through a process of just making the council aware of the dates that they're going to be there. I don't know, it's something new that I'm not aware of. That, when I talked to Dustin Harris with the Lynn County Health Department, he had requested that we do this. So I'm going to let you know that tomorrow night they're going to be at the LBC, the Heritage Days kickoff event. That'll be July 7th, and that'll be from 5 to 9. On July 9th, they'll be at the pool for game night and a movie, 5:30 to 11. I don't know if they'll be there the whole time, but that's what it's scheduled for. July 10th, they'll be there from 1 to 8 for family swim, and July 17th, they'll be there from 1 to 8 for family swim. So we're just trying to open our doors to them to allow them to bring something new to the pool that we don't have currently. There's no benefit for us necessarily other than working together with our community.
Company name again?
Pardon me?
The company name I missed.
Bass Farms, so they're located on the highway.
Yep.
That's the process we have to go through. I guess we have to get a 2-week temporary fee permit, just to know that they're not there permanently for 2 weeks straight, I guess, is what we said. So I don't think there's any action needed. I just need to make you aware of that, and it just needs to be in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Doug, are you checking batteries right now?
Apparently I am.
Because mine's not on either.
You must have changed them all at the same time last time.
Anybody else here to speak to the public comment section part here? Chris, it's a good time to introduce Matt for a few minutes, or?
Matt would like to, yeah.
You what? You, that's Matt?
Sure.
That Matt, sorry. that, yes.
Top up there. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I met with Republic Services.
That's okay.
With Republic Services, the garbage recycling company, as you've probably noticed over the last week, we've been delivering carts. It is not gone as smoothly as I hoped, but it is progressing. I've been here the last 2 days, today and yesterday, getting carts delivered. I can tell you, there's a lot of odds and ends things, a lot of duplicate deliveries. Looks like it happened last week that we're trying to clean up. But most of the people in town as of now should have a cart. I'm sure there's a couple floating out there that don't, but the vast majority of people should. I think I have about 15 things left on my list, which I'm handing off to somebody tomorrow. But those are mainly removals or people that want to upgrade sizes already. The collections have been going this week. With the holiday, it got a little chaotic. There was some information given that the holiday wouldn't impact the collection. We want to make clear that everybody, there's 5 holidays that typically always impact collection. And the 4th of July is one of them. Labor Day will be the next one that does. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and Memorial Day. When we have a holiday, typically things are delayed one day. In this instance, we did start collecting on the normal day. We did not delay it a day. As you know, if you've gotten cards with the literature, it's pretty clear there's supposed to be a delay. As I'm going through town, handing out cards, I'm getting approached by a lot of people saying, why are people putting their cards out? I think it's supposed to be delayed. So today we did rerun yesterday's route. We'll keep rerunning the routes, both routes, but the issue we're running into is things are running behind. I know the guy from recycling is still in town now. He might not finish everything tonight. If he doesn't, he'll be back in the morning. When he reruns that part of town, and then we'll run that part of town and the next part of town as well. But everybody will get picked up. It'll be taken care of. This is the first week, so it's normally a slow go to begin with. And when he's running kind of duplicate routes, it's going to be tough. But I'm mainly here to answer questions you might have. If there's been any concerns, I've talked to a lot of people in the public, and I think as far as the issues of delivering cards, I don't know if there's just known to be or public or people seem pretty patient.
I know you had to wait for Watson to move up some of the commercial bins. That's slowed me up because I saw activity Saturday and then Sunday and Monday with 2 delivering and so on. So there was
We've had crews here all last week, and working good.
One piece of input I have for you, I did hear today, someone talked about when they went to pick up the trash container, the wheel fell off. And she said, well, maybe I could switch it with the one at my other property, but that one had the same issue. And the driver said, she said the driver, whoever she talked to, was very nice. So that was great, but said that they've been dealing with several of those. So I just wanted to let you know that.
And I've been delivering the carts.
Okay.
And these are toter carts, that's the name
Okay.
of the manufacturer, and they're a reputable manufacturer, and they make a good cart. It's one of the good and bads, their wheels don't require tools to put them on, they just snap on.
Okay.
If somebody has a wheel that pops on, they could slide right back on, and it will click right back on.
Okay.
I've been delivering them, and I've had a few fall off to that, when we're taking them apart, we're popping them on, using our hands to kind of hit them. I haven't been hitting them all the hammer real good to get them on, but if a wheel comes off, you could push it right back on, and just with a little thump, if the wheel will go right back on. They're typically not broken.
Okay.
And that's unique to this brand of cart. There's other carts when the wheel falls off, it's kind of shot, and you get tools to fix it. These ones don't. It's one of the nice things about them.
As far as the brochures are concerned, Matt, my neighborhood didn't get brochures because they run out, and they still haven't been delivered yet. Are you guys still out delivering those brochures?
I have not been delivering brochures alone to any neighborhoods, to my knowledge. That's one of the issues we ran into with the cart, the assembly and distribution crew they sent out. From what I understand, I'm the person that made the brochures. I ordered the brochures. I ordered enough brochures. They were putting one on each cart and yard-based carts. So
That'll do it.
some people, many homes received 3 brochures. And I got a call last Thursday asking for me to send a copy of proof for more brochures to get made. We did. We made another 1,000. We have an extra 1,000 of them. But then we were told that, I didn't know there was a limit that they got this. If you want to get that notice, I can make sure we canvass the neighborhood.
Is there an option to mail them or otherwise, because yes, I do know some people got more than one, but what I'm concerned about is the people that didn't get any. I mean, I know it's a cost involved in it, but we need to make it right.
That's something we're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
I grabbed brochures from City Hall, but I'm not sure what maybe are in that pile, because it's not kind of your neighborhood or whatever.
I don't know how many of my neighbors didn't receive one, and I'll tell you, the contractor was great. I stopped, I walked out and visited with him and so on. And I just said, where's the information on delivery days and all this kind of stuff. Pickup days, he said we ran out, but, so I don't know how many.
We ordered an extra 1,000 of them. I have possession of them. Jim, our operations, probably who we talked to that day. He has, if it was one of our employees who talked to.
Maybe a contractor.
Our guy, we ordered 1,000 extra because we have them. The information we were given is they didn't, before they left town, they told us they didn't do it. They got it all distributed. So this is the first time hearing
Okay.
For what it's worth, I read the whole thing, and it was well done. And the way that the insert would come out of it, people could put it on the refrigerator or whatever, was great with the calendar. So, just want to let you know.
Thank you.
I made a note to Chris, and I don't know, Ann, if you want to think about this. I know that not everybody subscribes to the Sun, but can we put something like that in the Sun? So that there's a reprint of the pickup days and the map, and what can be put in recycling versus trash.
Yeah, the only thing that I've been hearing are duplicate deliveries, and then the missed ones. Like, I don't have anything yet.
I don't have mine.
No.
I don't have my trash one, but I have my recycling.
No, mine's a little weird because, well, that's a separate issue. But, yeah, and I was gonna call somebody tomorrow.
Did you have a different size? So I.
Yeah, I had a 35.
You're
So I think that might be-
I'm wondering, I don't know if this is the place to talk about all of it, but I do think there were some of the other sizes, the way the other crew did things, I think they went by size. I've been delivering containers that came from City Hall, like people that have called and said they haven't gotten one. As I'm going down the street, I notice other people don't have one, I'm handing them out. There's going to be calls
Yeah, and I knew we were still delivering through the week and generating how much garbage.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, as I've been walking, I've been trying to watch for it, but some people pull theirs up real close and put it behind, and you can't really tell if you got one or.
Meredith has a good system. She'll get like 4 or 5 of them, and then she'll send them out. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
And I have all of those into a spreadsheet that I can mark off, yes, completed, and there were probably 70 of them on that list. And it was probably, most of them are in Google's now, and there's less than 20 of them.
Yeah, and I would agree with, somebody said it earlier, but I think most people have been pretty patient. I've gotten a lot of questions through Facebook and stuff, but everybody is, we're still delivering. They've all been pretty patient about it, so I don't.
Everybody that's approached me has been great about it, which I'm thankful for. This isn't how we intended it to go as far as the goal. But we're working through it. We'll get carts everywhere. If your neighborhood doesn't have carts, or it's just you, let Chris know. Yeah. Let the city hall know.
It was just the council.
It's like, it was easier. I didn't get mine until Sunday. So when people would call and like, why don't I have my
I know,
it was kind of instantly deflated there.
Right, and that's sort of why I didn't say it again, because people were emailing me and mostly got Facebook. I was like, oh, I still have my mind, so we're gonna stay with it, it'll be fine.
Same.
I'm noticing there seems to be a lot of duplicates on the southwest side, and that's where the list that I have left is like that. And I will say, I removed a lot of those. Thing is, the calls didn't come in, and I don't think you took calls on me yet. So I don't know if it's on that list I already did. So today I went back over there, it's hard to know if it's sitting out, because it's their garbage day today. I don't want to take somebody's
Right,
day.
and then it's,
So I'm kind of gonna wait till tomorrow.
yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And all the work. And echo that comment, because it's been easy to be, have an excuse. We knew this was going to be a challenging transition on a good day, but as a council, we made a tough decision and didn't duck making a challenging transition here to a system that's been around for a long time. It needed to happen in some form, so.
It'll get a lot better. I'm confident. All right?
Yeah, question, Ryan?
On the flip side of that, the city services, did we get anything straight? I talked to Jim last night,
Yep.
and I'm gonna talk to Chris today or Meredith about anything that,
If you told Jim what you want, he's gonna tell me, and I'll get it in our system, we're gonna do it for you. I think that's something that's quick and easy.
okay.
Once we know what you want.
You know, sitting on a workshop and LEC and wastewater plant.
There's those, the recycling cans at the schools, I also didn't have information on.
Okay.
You know, I went off the list of what was being done by the previous vendor. I think there were some things that were done, either maybe they weren't billing for, or they were, it just wasn't being tracked, or it was being billed directly to different entities. So some of those things are gonna be coming in. And as soon as they get those, we have dumpsters, we'll get those out.
Gotcha. And I looked at it a lot today, it looked like the commercial stuff downtown was, for most of our taken care of that way, so.
It looked like it. I know there's some recycling, some of the Mount Vernon own recycling, because you own some of the recycling dumpsters, I believe. And Jim was bringing one of our older trucks from a different division up that can dump those, just as a stopgap till we get a permanent recycling dumpster for those customers as well. I think we ran out of 2 yards, which he's working on replenishing and getting out.
And I was, well, you know, Jim runs into an issue where he can't place a can or a dumpster somewhere because Wassy hasn't moved one, or it's ours and we didn't move it yet. Feel free to have him call me and we'll pop right on it.
I haven't noticed anywhere today when I was around, it looked like things were mostly taken care of. I'm sure there's stuff that's missing, but it seemed like most of the commercial has something, there's something in place. And over the next couple months, we might tweak some things with different sizes and things like that, but there's something for right now.
We got to break it and have it on, so this is a little transition time, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
The other question I've gotten pretty consistently is, and I know we've been talking about it, but if we're getting closer to a resolution, is glass recycling. And if
We are working through Lynn County solid waste right now. My understanding is the individual that I tried to contact through Ripple is no longer with Ripple. So Joe Craney from Solid Waste Agency has emailed the new individual, given me the new individual. So we both emailed that person, we haven't heard back yet. I'm a little nervous that our market's too small for them to be, for a desire for them to put a location here, but, the nice part is that Joe and Lynn County's office have been very helpful and will continue to be helpful, so if Ripple does not end up being an option, we'll continue to explore options. I won't guarantee anybody anything at this point, but we'll go through until we have exhausted all of those avenues.
Now, I be correct, the glass right now is garbage, unless it's the nickel stuff to get it, plus the booster club.
I've been asked by numerous residents that I can deliver what to do with the gas and put it in the garbage. They have asked about options for drop off, and I've told them the city's exploring that. But in the interim, it should go in the garbage or it's a redemption, bring back to redemption.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, anybody else here in the public to address anything to the public comment section of the meeting? Hearing none, we'll go to the consent agenda. We have two items, city council minutes and liquor license.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll second.
Thank you, Stephanie. Move and second to approve the items on the consent agenda. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, I'd like to open the public hearing for the final plat for Amundsen addition to the city of Mount Vernon, Iowa. Public hearing is now open. Anybody here to speak to the first one, or do you want to give us some introductory remarks, Chris?
So, as you can see from Laura's staff report, basically it's in the Ash Park district. As a lot of the older neighborhoods did back then, because most of them were anywhere from 40 to 60-foot lots, they were combined lots. A lot of times we will run into a scenario where the house is built across the lot line and they don't have the ability to do what's being asked tonight, but this house was built completely on one lot, which left just under 55 feet, I believe, left of the second lot. It's more than sufficient to build another home in that location, and because we do not have very many infill lots, the Board of Adjustment already voted to give them the ability to reduce the lot size by 6 feet. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, it was an established lot at one time, it just happened to get combined at a later date. They're just asking to subdivide it back off so somebody can build.
And planning and zoning's already blessed us.
Correct. So it's been through planning, zoning, and board of adjustment, so every two other agencies have gone through review.
And the standard house could be built on it within code and without
Correct.
variance for setbacks and all of those sorts of things. Well, so Laura, somebody else do it.
I just had a question, does that one fall into the historic district?
It does. So when they build, they'll have to go through historic preservation. The actual subdivision of the lot does not, but whoever does decide to build on that lot will have to go through that process as well.
So we're not at G yet for the resolution, we're just having a discussion.
This is just the public hearing portion of it. When we close the public hearing, then we go to
As Chris just mentioned, we're in the public hearing section. Is there anybody else that's here from the public to talk about that item? Otherwise, I will move the, close the public hearing. Any motion for that? Okay. Close the public meeting, move to G1, which is where Craig was going. And that's the resolution for approval.
I will move to approve resolution 7-6-2022A, approving the final plat for Amundsen addition to the city of Mount Vernon.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second that.
Thank you, Craig. I think we are ready to vote.
Feel there's a zoomed in issue?
No.
Turner,
Aye.
Rose,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
Thank you, Sue. The motion carries. Now going to item 2, public hearing for the preliminary plat for the addition of the city of Mount Vernon. The public hearing is now open. Do you want to introduce anything there, Chris?
Let me get to the So this is off of Business 30. It is the land that is directly west of Lynch's service shop. Yes, so it's just an open field at the moment. The expectation is that they will likely look to build apartments of some nature in that lot at some point. But again, been through P&Z. This is just a preliminary plat. No infrastructure that has to be added, so street access would be off of Business 30 and then right away, things of that nature. So pretty simple plat process.
Any questions for Chris about that space? It's almost too small a farm, so I can see why.
Is he,
Oh,
oh, no, never mind, sorry.
anybody here from the public here to speak to that item?
I just wanted to confirm that it was going to be residential, not commercial.
On that particular LRD third edition?
I believe so.
West.
That's the one just west of Lynch.
Collision Center, yeah.
That is the current expected use. Now, at this point in time, we're just subdividing the lot, creating the lot off of the rest of, so this, to imagine, kind of odd, but you have all of Lynch, and then you have this lot that's actually connected to the south and then back to the east that connects back to Highway 1, so they're just taking this little section off. But the plan is calling for kind of a multi-family style residential, no industrial,
Okay.
things of that nature.
I was just curious.
Yep.
Both letters that came out just said change.
Yeah.
They didn't say what the intended use was or anything, so.
The plan is right now it would be apartments.
Okay.
And is that what the Highway 30 master plan that we put together?
Yeah, so mixed uses, I think.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the map just to make sure, but I believe that was kind of the mixed use area.
Anybody else have any comments towards that? Public hearing topic? If not, then I will call that public hearing closed and move on to G2, which is a resolution for approving the preliminary plat for the LRD third edition of the city of Mount Vernon.
I move approval of resolution 7-6-2022B as stated by the mayor.
Thank you, Paul. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Scott. Sue, are you ready?
Rose,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Turler,
I
Thank you. Call roll. Item E3, public hearing for the preliminary plat for Armstrong Acre, Part 2, the city of Mount Vernon. Public hearing is now officially open. Chris will give us an intro.
So this is actually off of Palisades. If you remember, most of you will remember, Armstrong, the first edition was the house, and then there was a portion that was in an easement in Lynn County. That was their septic field that went with the house. So these are the two outbuildings that were left on the rest of the parcel. So what they're doing is a lot longer, create a new lot that would go with those two parcels. They have a buyer that has an interesting idea, and
You're going to redo the barn, redo the house?
yeah,
You're going to redo the barn's house?
I'm intrigued to go see it when it's done. So again, the reason that they have to go through the entire process is because of the number of times that this particular lot's been split. Once I believe you have 3 or more parcels out of the same group, then you have to go through the full process. So it eliminates just going right down the road and creating lots and then leaving a big chunk in the back. But there is space there for potential street access should the area in the back ever be subdivided in and around the house and then the outbuilding. So everything's been considered, again, made it through P&Z. Staff didn't have anything additional. We went through the sat down with both the prospective buyer and the individual doing the subdivision, so I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Parties involved are here, anything to add to it? Okay.
Come see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I will close the public hearing and move to G3 then, if we're at that point. G3 is a resolution approving the plat for the Armstrong Acre, Part 2, City of Mount Vernon.
I would move approval of resolution 7-6-2022C, approving the preliminary plat for Armstrong Acre Part 2 subdivision.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Craig. Sue, are you ready for roll call vote?
Engel,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Turner,
Aye.
West.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 4 under E, public hearing for the request to rezone ag to suburban residential. Okay, talk a little bit about that, but anything else to add, Chris?
No, this is just basically to allow them to do what they would like to do. So it's currently ag, it comes with some freedom if you're leaving it ag. If you're not planning to use it as ag, it does complicate your life a little bit. So moving to suburban residential will give them a better opportunity to do what they would like to do.
Public hearing is still open. Any other comments? Any comments about that from anyone?
6 days ago.
And I will close the public hearing and move on to G4, which is the resolution approval there.
I'm sorry, Council, real quick, is E4, is it matching up to G4?
Yeah, I'm struggling with that.
No, so this is F1.
Slightly different than what we
This
just
will go,
approved.
this public hearing goes to F1.
Good,
So Jay,
Yeah.
Okay, then.
that makes more sense.
Yep.
I move approval of ordinance 7-6-2022A, amending the comprehensive plan and official zoning map to rezone lot 1 of Armstrong Acre, Part 2, from agriculture to suburban residential
I'll second.
on First Street.
West.
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Engel.
Yes.
Thank you. That takes care of E, I believe, and F1 we've already addressed. And I think we've addressed everything.
I,
G4.
G4, yes, G4, I think is where we're at.
can I take a second motion?
You can, they still have to go through the final plat though, so
Okay.
suspending the rules would require all four, not that all four of you already voted in favor, but then all four would be required to vote in favor, so.
Gotcha.
It doesn't move the process any faster because they have to
Okay.
submit the final plat.
So you're looking for approval of resolution G4?
So that would be the next item. This has been a whirlwind of a situation, so I'm going to try and do my best to kind of catch everybody up to speed. So at this time, the state has offered a grant matching up to $3 million to work towards solutions for daycare issues across the state of Iowa. There's been a loose consortium of individuals getting together, myself, John Hart from Cornell, and Greg Batenhorst from the school district, and we floated this idea at one of our meetings, and we've had 3 subsequent meetings since then. The goal being the potential for the Mount Vernon School District to qualify for this grant. Of course, with everything else that they have going on right now, the ability for them to take this project on by themselves does not exist. In our meetings, not one of the entities has the ability to front $3 million ahead of time. So it is problematic with this grant because that's one of the requirements is that you have $3 million basically cash in hand. It is designed for the likes of Cornell and the school and other large semi-large businesses to work towards daycare solutions. So we fit all of the requirements, save a couple. In the meantime, the city's role in all of this would be of a monetary nature. So cities across the state have started to utilize TIP because they see economic development as daycare as an economic development issue. The lack thereof obviously prevents employers from locating in the community. And we would do the same. So all of this amounts to, this project may not go forward. This project may go forward. The city, by passing a resolution of this nature, would at least go on the record to say, if it does move forward, we would be willing to allocate a portion of our TIF funds to this project. What I presented to you is a resolution that says we would allocate $200,000 over 10 years, $2 million over 10 years, so $200,000 a year, a maximum of $250,000 per year if we wanted to try and raise those funds faster. So that's what the resolution states today. The council does not have to go to $2 million. I was trying to make this project become a reality, knowing that everybody's got items that are sitting out there. And of course, it is a rarity for us to be able to utilize TIF dollars for the school. So this is just one of those instances where we could, the dollars that we typically take from TIF, in a roundabout way, the school does get backfilled from the state, but they lose money, some money, in those TIF agreements, and it was a way to say, essentially, thank you for a legitimate purpose. So you don't have to go 10 years. You do not have to put $2 million in there. You do not have to have a $250,000 annual payment. I will say that this, in years, would jump our TIF asking from a maximum of, we try to hover right around 750. It will get us close to $2 million, or close to $1 million in some years. There's over $2 million worth of TIF value that we could take and just try to keep it right around 750 to stay consistent, so the dollars that we take from TIF don't end up in our general fund either. So in order to keep all the taxing entities consistent and not have them go up and down with their tax rates, that's what we've been attempting to do. So I wanted to point that out. If we do this, that we will definitely be brushing up against that $1 million asking at times. However, if this does move forward, it kind of pushes along, I think, some plans potentially at the school. If like I said, there's a lot of things that have to go right in order to make this happen. We have one of the easiest decisions to make in all of this, and all we're doing at this point is just basically stating that if you're successful, if we're allowed to put the grant in for this specific project, and you're able to do everything that you might be able to do, then this help would be there for you.
I think I'm intrigued by this project. And talk about the sense of urgency here. My understanding is that this grant has to be out by the end of this month.
Correct.
Maybe by the end of the third week.
Yes.
And Cornell has offered to write the grant.
So they have their grant writer basically doing the communication for us back and forth between the state, and we'll be potentially working on the actual written verbiage of this. Again, there's some things that have to fall in our favor in order for this to work, but what we're being told is Mount Vernon is considered a daycare desert. So we have a number of in-home daycares, but as far as facilities are concerned, we lack. My understanding is that the daycare in Lisbon, not the one that is going to shutter their doors, but through the school district, has a waiting list of over 100.
CC.
kids. So that tells us something right there, that the facility is obviously needed. You know, and not to speak for the school district or Cornell, but it would make sense if we could build or construct a facility somewhere on the school's campus. That way we'd have the LDC and we have the school's campus, and of course, it's just a natural transition. You know, being able to get $3 million in a grant to kind of speed along some future plans would be, you know, monumental for all three entities. And again, we wouldn't be operating or anything of that nature. Our contribution to this whole process would be monetary, but even
these
if
are
this-
our two largest employers.
yeah, even if this doesn't go through the conversation that's being had between the city and Cornell and the school district, I think it's definitely quality, and I'm happy about at least getting to this point with it. My hope is that the state would recognize our contribution as cash and potentially move this project along. I think it's unique. I do think it was something that the state could tout as an out-of-the-box thinking for a solution. I don't get to pull the strings on that side of things, so I'm just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that they'll be able to find us a way to make this happen.
I'm really excited about this. As you know, I brought up a child care situation, you know, about a year ago, and was trying to start thinking about how we can help and what we can do, and TIF made a lot of sense at the time. And I just appreciate you guys have gone to the effort that you have to jump on this, because I think it's a huge win for our young families, in addition to the young employers. I'm just curious to know, did you guys have the results of the League of Women Voters survey?
It's what Stephanie's referring to is last fall or whatever, League identified 2 areas of study, and one of them was childcare. And for that reason, I invited Jane here, and I know she's got off on vacation here, but can you answer any of those questions, or do you want to speak?
Yeah, I have just, we're having a forum next Thursday.
Do you mind coming up to the
Oh, no,
mic here?
I don't.
Yeah, I can hear it and see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. And, our survey just finished in May. So it's April and May, I think. And, but it was taken before the Turtle Club closed. So that information isn't here. We're having a forum next Thursday, July 14th at Lisbon's Heritage Hall at 7 o'clock to 8:30. It'll be in the paper tomorrow, an ad for it. And I think we've had posters and I put it on Facebook. But the only, what I'm going to say about the survey is that it found that 43% it had about a few more than 70 respondents. And 43% of the families said they were happy with their present child care, and 57% said they were not happy with their present child care. So basically, we would be definitely in favor of the city participating, and if more information will be available next Thursday night.
What time did you say, Jen?
7 to 8, we're assuming 8:30, because Linda Bigley will give the results of the survey, and then we have a panel.
Okay.
And we'll run it as like a lead candidates night with questions to be handed in. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Great time to do that.
Well,
From a historic perspective, my 4 prior years on council and as mayor, the daycare has always been an issue in our community. It has gotten worse post-COVID. It's a reality. And the other factor historically, I think that we need to consider in this is the fact that our community, Mount Vernon, in general, due to our median income, rarely is able to take advantage of federal and state dollars that are offered, because we're not a lower income. But we do have low to middle income people living in our communities, and when I think of one of the greatest needs that you know, my wife and I, we were fortunate to have filled was we had excellent daycare provider for our children when we moved here to Mount Vernon, but not everyone has that, and it's becoming harder and harder. So when you take the need, you know, anytime you're considered a desert of food or daycare or housing, I think it's an important factor. The fact that this is an opportunity to take funding and grow it through the grant with the state. And the third factor is the fact that we've got our two largest employers and the city, and over the years, we haven't always had the type of opportunities to work together. And I just think that Chris has laid forth an excellent plan. You know, it's similar to when we put together the very first local option sales tax to build a community center and a fire station. We had to start raising the money somehow, and because we had that money there, we were able to build a fire station and a community center. It wasn't necessarily on the time frame that everybody wanted, but we're sitting here today with both of those. And I really strongly support this effort.
Yeah, I think regardless of whether or not this grant is successful, if anything can be gleaned from this, if the council chooses to move forward with this resolution, is, you know, just a statement alone to the school to say the city is committed to a solution as well as the school. So, like I said, even if this grant proposal doesn't move forward, and you know the school has a 10-year plan, if this happens to be able to let them move, you know, their plans up by a couple of years or something like that, that would, you know, potentially include a daycare. It's a win regardless. So just, I think the knowledge that we are willing to put our money where our mouth is and say we support an initiative gives Greg, at very minimum, you know, a conversation piece.
So, the third week of July, the grant has to begin, and to receive the grant, you have to show you've got $3 million in cash in hand.
So right now what we're being told is they want you to show that you have $3 million in cash, and then it's a reimbursement deal. So you have to.
Oh, it's not. It's not a match. It's not 3 plus 3.
It is. It's a 3 and a 3, but you have to spend the money first and seek reimbursement from the.
Okay. And can we just borrow the money and use that TIF money to be paying it back over the next 10 years? Knowing that the school district is already leveraged to the hilt, and Cornell is just losing their now left and right because it's not.
So the challenge is not in the time that you would need to get the grant. If they were willing to allow us, I think that's part of the problem with what the state has done here, is it's 2 months.
Yeah.
I think is what we've been given to get this entire thing together. We couldn't go through the borrowing process and borrow $3 million, neither entity.
From start to finish.
Start to finish in the time that.
Even if we already knew from day one that
Yes.
we were absolutely ready to
And
go.
that's
So-
because this is COVID money, right?
Yes,
And they have to spend it. It's-
but you have until 2026 to have the improvements done. So it's kind of a hurry up,
And then,
go ahead and construct. So to answer your question, if this happens to fall through, then I think there's more discussions that will have to be had. But again, at a very minimum, the fact that the 3 entities are getting together on an every other week basis and having positive discussions, I think is a good first start. And again, I think this, at least from the city's perspective, puts it out there that school, we're serious to make this happen and see how it goes. And of course, they got their athletic complex that's on the books right now, so everything kind of has to fall in place. But again, it does give them, food for thought.
So is there so we've got the 3 million out there potentially from the state. If we move forward with the 2 million or theoretically 2.5 from us, is the other million or 500, are we foregoing that? Is that Cornell and the schools maybe?
No, I was hoping that
Or
the
you being
entities
cautious?
would be able to come to the table and have some skin in it as well.
Okay.
Again,
Sorry, some for-profit entity, some group out there, or
no, like Cornell or the school
Okay.
district.
not another partner?
No, not necessarily. But there are other grant opportunities out there that, are a consideration as well. And again, the challenge has been 2 months is hardly enough time to get everything put together. And I realize they want to have something immediate and quick, but
Well, I bet they want to give away this money too.
yeah, we would put our best foot forward, conversation with Lynn County's round 2 and ARPA and things like that. There are other avenues that we might be able to look at.
I would say that there are going to be few communities or entities that have the wherewithal that the Mount Vernon School District, Cornell College, and the city of Mount Vernon are able to put together to put this forward in the time frame that the state is asking for. And that is another good reason to bring it forward. And as Chris says, if this doesn't go through, it does send a message to the school district, to Cornell, and to the state that, the city of Mount Vernon is committed to economic development and meeting the needs of the, all levels of our incomes in our community, all families.
I was just gonna say, the other aspect that we haven't even talked about is the jobs that it would bring
Right.
to the community.
I mean, I guess where I was really going with my question earlier is I view this as to that point and having kids that just several years ago aged out of daycare, but, still remember trying to figure that all out and make it work with work schedules and all of that. I see this as enough of a game changer for our community and for the any other entities involved. I mean, I don't want to start spending money willy-nilly, but are we lessening our chances of approval by not leveraging the full 3 million?
No, because technically speaking, right now, I don't believe this counts as cash in hand. We'll try to make that argument.
Sure.
And we feel
So
like
it's basically 2 million.
we have 2 million, and I mean there is potential to make up that other $1 million gap.
Okay.
So I'm not necessarily concerned about we only have the 2 million. I think in our conversations we could potentially show that. The challenge is going to be, will the state
Convincing the state.
And again, if they don't, then I think that the 3 groups continue to have a conversation and say, okay, what are the next steps? Who do we go to next? And what the grant did do is spark a conversation
Yeah.
and some out-of-the-box thinking that I don't think any of the 3 entities initially would have gone, hey, this is an idea.
The state may find that nobody can do it, and they have to rethink their consideration.
Close enough.
There's very little to lose, other than
100%.
some people's time, in my mind, to move this forward, and it's a chance.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, this would also allow you, if something did start to get off the ground, this would allow you to start earmarking those funds in December and start collecting, so we could build a cash balance to when the construction actually started. So there's a number of things that this does do for us. And the worst case scenario is the group cannot find a solution, we stop the conversation, and no money has changed. But again, I think this is becoming such a conversation. I mean, in what amounts to 3.5 short weeks, we've gone from a passing conversation about identifying a problem that is not only just prevalent in Mount Vernon, but the state of Iowa, and going,
Yeah.
this doesn't happen very often. I mean, we just don't come together this quickly. And so I'm ecstatic about that. I do think the group that is getting together is solutions-based, and again, if this doesn't happen to make it, then we'll continue to fight that battle and see where we can come up with some ideas. But this does give a mighty big talking point to keep the conversation moving forward.
I move approval for resolution 7-6-2022D in support of proposed terms to be included in an agreement for private development by and between the city of Mount Vernon and the Mount Vernon Community School District.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm second.
Thanks, Stephanie. We're going to vote. This is a very important, this is a need on multiple levels. And I think the culture of this council, the culture of Mount Vernon as a city is to take steps where they're filling needs and be bold when you need to be bold. And we've got the right partners at the table. Have added another distinction to Mount Vernon. So this is, even though I don't get a vote on it, I want to very much make sure that everybody hears the message that this is something that we endorse. Moved and seconded to approve. You got all the language, I'm sure. Resolution 7-6-2022D. All that is a voice. No, roll call.
Turler,
Aye.
West,
Yes.
Engel,
Yes.
Rose.
Yep.
Thank you, and heard the message to leave my voters.
Yeah.
The work that you've started, and hopefully will continue next Thursday.
7 Heritage Hall,
Here.
which is above the Lisbon Library, which GPS doesn't, only goes to the Lisbon Library.
Thank you.
We found out.
I think moving on to no mayor or business, old business. I think we're to approve, motion for approval of the claims list. A motion to approve the most recent claims list.
So moved.
Second?
So,
Moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports, City Council. Chris, things are moving with mechanical telephone. Website design tomorrow night.
So Mechanicsville was supposed to be today. The outage over the weekend canceled. They're postponing that meeting. So Monday, I believe so. We're meeting on Monday. That's for city services, obviously all the locations that we have. The website redesign interviews will be tomorrow. Two firms looking to buy for that. The LBC's holding the Heritage Days kickoff party. We're hoping for good weather. I know. I've been trying to stay positive all week for Matt, but he keeps showing me the weather report for tomorrow, and it's rough. But in usual fashion, the LBC staff is pivoting, and we'll still have a great event. Might just look a little bit different than when it had started. So, and then I will be here most of Friday, well, half a day Friday, but I will actually be in Hiawatha meeting with the city administrator up there and an individual that's planning to run for state office, just asking questions of cities and trying to be informed. So I volunteered to go up there for that. And then I will be in the office on Monday, finishing the packet for the 18th. Monday night, I will leave for the conference. I'm on the board for ICMA, so Tuesday is a retreat for us, for the board, and then Wednesday starts the conference. So I will not be in a vast majority of next week outside of today. So when you get your packet for the 18th, I think everything kind of put the finishing touches on it today, so I'm pretty sure everything is on there that needs to be on there for the 18th. Minor changes may get made if that happens. Marshall will likely Not everything will be there for the packet, especially reports. We're used to having at least another week to work on those. So those will get emailed out to the council throughout the week, as will any missing information. There will be two things that are subject to P&Z approval that occurs on the 13th. You will not have any information. I will just make note of that in the packet. If everything goes accordingly on the 13th, P&Z approves it, then Laura will send out the same type of staff report that she has for the other items in this one for your meeting. If not, then you will not receive anything. That just means that that agenda item will have to be tabled until the next meeting. So, those are a lot of questions.
Date set for the next pool meeting? Oh, Water's Edge. Set is set, I don't know, just now.
It's not until after the end of summer.
Oh, very well, okay.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank Laura for the excellent job she does putting together those packets for us on these types of zoning and plats and things. She does an excellent job. It makes it very efficient to consume and make decisions. And that's very helpful. So thank you, Laura.
She keeps me on my toes. She's very thorough.
Good. That's what you want in zoning.
Yes,
Right? I mean,
absolutely.
if there's any quality, you're going to check the box.
On more than one occasion, she's had to point out what she's doing.
You're making me blush.
I didn't mean to do that.
Anything else we need to address at this meeting?
Hey, just real quick while Laura's online there. Laura, are we going to make a decision tomorrow? I mean, Paul and I are going to be there, but we're going to listen to the RFPs, the presenters, and then are we going to meet and make a decision, or tomorrow, or no?
I mean, I think we can just get together and have that discussion afterwards, but I don't think that we're pressed for time to make a decision that day, especially if the city council would like to further discuss it. I think that would be fine.
Yeah, you've answered my question. We are going to hang around a little bit after to provide feedback. I guess that's what I should say.
And Paul will not be there.
Yeah, I won't
He's
be
got
there.
it going
It's
down.
the one day in the last 3 weeks I have to go into the office.
So, in that process, the hope is that one of the two will have separated themselves. If not, then we'll just tend to either take time to think about it, or in the case of the pool, we had a second interview.
Those of you in the public, that's a website design selection of RFP, picking between two vendors. This is going to be our first updating ours. Anything else that needs to come before this meeting? Not when we are adjourned, 7:30.
Thanks for sticking around. I don't usually get an audience.
Looking forward to that. I'm excited.
Oh, you're welcome, I'm sorry, I wasn't.
No, you're right on time.
Yeah.
You're part of the meeting, that's fine.
Yeah.
I've got a high school class meeting there, coming from Peoria to Omaha. I may might be there for 5 minutes at the beginning or something like that, or whatever, but I mean, that's something you can do. But I just want to let you know. She does Mrs. White, the librarian, is she?
There's a local individual
For other
Oh,
activities? Yeah.
maybe,
I don't know if she's got the equipment or whatever.
I was wondering exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on our website, and you can find it readily right
That was a really nice piece of information to have.
Instead of just, oh, I don't know.
Just getting pertinent about this. Almost 3-year-old boy now and a year-old granddaughter.
She's not here.
Somebody here in Mount Vernon had 8
Well, thank you. How you doing? Good. Yeah. We haven't done a whole lot. Well, until like this winter. I was kind of like I walked in the front over here and said, that's really the only thing that we've done so far is cosmetic. Oh yeah, the bolts are still there too.
Okay, yes, yeah.
When we want to.
Oh, yes.
So tons of keys. Yeah, so they, basically we just our students ahead of time. Our wellness coalition, so Cassie Rice and housing the school, they moved out a couple offices for 18.
Awesome, wow. When you get into
It wasn't necessarily good. But I'm not saying that it's
That's just big.
that Rick did.
Especially when all this people go on.
It was because nobody else wanted to do it. And he had to make decisions.
I saw neighbors listen to music. I drove by there, he was in the first row of this music.
Good to see you again.
Well,
Sherry.
so Chris, you don't want to.
Well, I do. Logistically, I want to make sure.
Yeah, he sold that White House last year, which is great. They've recited this beautiful.
Because
So we're buying just buying an acre
because
pile
we are just a
with
monetary
outbuildings on it. We're gonna use
fearful of
one
backing
for
them.
storage of RVs and turn the barn into a house. Yeah, so.
If this doesn't.
Second, yeah, P&Z was a few weeks